It's called Antipodes water. It's from New Zealand.
Antipode.
And
No, I actually had to, I mean, you would think that that's the way it should be, but it actually is antipodes. Antipodes, which means the exact opposite of everything.
oh, it tastes like it's from New Zealand.
Does it?
Yeah.
It tastes really good.
Yeah.
Aquifers of New Zealand.
I'm kind of a water snob.
I am too.
My friends tease me all the time, like, is this organic spring water? Like, did this come from a well? Did this come from, like, another country? I'm like, just leave me alone. Everyone has their ways.
I loved it because the bottle said live well on it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very on
Yeah.
brand for you.
Yeah, very on brand for
Yeah.
us.
It's beautiful.
Past the fire, past the sounds. Moonshine through the clouds, saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
Good day, and welcome
Good
to
morning,
another
yes.
exciting episode. Is it morning?
Yeah, it's morning. Right now, it's
As far
8
as they
o'clock in
know.
the morning.
Yeah.
It's
I just had
Thursday.
coffee, so yeah. it's morning.
Yeah, we're all enjoying
Pay
the
no
coffee
attention to the
together.
setting or the rising of the sun. It's morning now. Yeah.
So
Another
welcome
fun
to
episode.
Living
Well
Well Together. Big life in a small town. Yeah, and we're here with Giselle Rodriguez, and we're so excited.
I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yes, because we have talked about this since the summertime. right?
Yeah, I was so excited to be on the show with you guys, and then it was like I think end of summer, early fall, maybe when I saw you at the stable fundraiser, and life started lifing very quickly.
Yes.
The
holidays.
In a good way?
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, work picks up. I mean, our business is really seasonal. I feel like my seasons, ebb and flow, much like other industries, but it just like picked up and then it like didn't really slow down.
Yeah.
So, I feel like in real estate, you really have to be available. That's one of the things that the clients are really hiring you for is availability.
Yeah.
So that kind of took over. And of course the holidays, and I kept thinking about you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to Lisa. I want to talk to them. I watch your episodes. I've seen almost all of them.
Oh my
and
goodness, that's
yeah,
wonderful.
and
Thank you.
I was like, oh my gosh, I just love what they're doing. And I know you're girls and I just admire you guys so much. And I was like, I have to get in touch with her after the new year.
Yes,
so
it
I'm
was.
so
it works
glad
out
it worked out.
perfectly, and I'm glad that you got on when you did. Because at this point, I think we're booked out pretty far for guests. So this was perfect
good.
timing.
Oh,
and now you're
good.
here with some new equipment too.
Yeah,
and
I
that
get to
worked out
test out the
good.
new equipment. Yeah.
Why don't you tell everybody what you mentioned real estate?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about
Oh
that.
my
And then
gosh.
we'll do your backstory too.
Okay. I feel like I'm a really multi-passionate person. I've had a lot of different changes in my life, different careers. But I am a real estate agent. That's what I do as my career now. I'm very holistically minded. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, and I'm really passionate about supporting small businesses and being a community advocate. We'll certainly talk about that as well.
Yes.
But I feel
You're
like
good
that's-
at it.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
feel like that's me in a nutshell. I just love people and I love connecting people. I've always said, like, if I don't know, like, what you need to know, I know who you need to know, and I'm going to just make it happen for you.
That's a gift.
Thank you. I think it is, and I think I've learned later in life what a gift that really is.
Yes.
So I think that that's something that I'm really leaning into now in my 30s.
Fantastic. I know.
I was going to say, you said later in life, and I'm thinking, wait a minute.
I know. I think for
Pump
me,
the
I'm
brakes.
just like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, I've done so many different things. Like we were talking
Right.
about, your daughter, and I feel like my career has taken so many different. It's involved in so many different things, and it's evolved over the years. And to the core, I feel like a lot of what I'm doing is kind of the same, using the same gifts. And so I'm really blessed that's kind of carried me through my career. Didn't end up like where I thought it was going to end up by any means, but
It's okay. You just take the steps, right? And then it kind of goes where you're supposed to go. Tell us a little bit about your upringing when you were a little girl.
Yes. Okay,
Little girl
so,
stories.
I know. So I am from a military family. My dad was in the Air Force most of my childhood, all my childhood. And I'm from a bicultural, bilingual family. My family's from Puerto Rico.
Nice.
So we're Caribbean people. Yeah. And so I spent a lot of my childhood moving around, which now, that's something that I really appreciate because it makes me so adaptable.
Yeah.
But it's also something that I really struggled with growing up because I never really had a sense of home. So my home was wherever my mom and my dad and my brother were. And so we moved every couple of years. We lived in 6 or 7 different states. My dad retired here, I believe, at the end of middle school, early high school.
Okay.
And so, that's a really impressionable age because everyone that you meet already has their circle, their best friends and their, hobbies and athletics, and everyone's in soccer in Ohio and, things like that. And I used to dance and play tennis, and I was in bowling for a long time, and I did various things. Yeah, took horseback riding lessons. I've done all sorts of things. And so, those experiences of moving around were really difficult for me as a kid because I never felt like I fit in. I felt like I was kind of always the new kid, and so it was really difficult for me to like establish relationships. It's like I got along well with everyone, but I didn't really feel like I belonged to anyone or to any one group. And so I really struggled with that a lot in high school and then in college and really even up until my 20s. And so it's something that I've really kind of made peace with now because I think that I really recognize when someone feels uncomfortable or when they are the new person. And so I'm of that mindset of like, there's always a seat at my table and I want people to feel welcome here. And, you know, my dad is now retired from the Air Force. He's a retired colonel and he's very involved in the community. He's on several different boards and he owns his own financial planning business. And it's so fun. You know, people recognize me as Rafi's daughter. And it's been that way since I was little. It's like, oh, you know, you're the colonel's daughter. And now it's like, oh, you're Rafi's daughter. I know him from the Beaver Creek Chamber. He's so...
I think I've met your dad now that you're telling the story.
Yes, he's like me times 10. I take so much after my dad. And my mom as well. But yeah. And so... I grew up in the military and then my dad retired. And so I feel like I really resonate now working in real estate with military families, not necessarily from like the husband and wife standpoint or, you know, that relationship, but how their kids feel. And so I've really used a lot of that into how I educate about things to do in the area and things like that. So yeah, military family here.
So things to do in the community and then finding out what their lifestyle is so that you can match them to the right community.
Oh my goodness.
That kind of thing?
Yes, that's my favorite part. So I feel like I'm such a romantic at heart and I really use that in my business. I like to romanticize like the ordinary and everyday things. And, you know, some people might find it silly. Like I'll take a picture of my coffee and be like, this makes me so happy. But it's like, if you don't get excited about the tiny little things, like things can feel really redundant and they can just feel really slow. And like, you know, there's nothing to be, boring. Like there's nothing to be excited about. But I also think that that's something that I want to carry with me every day is like just finding like the little things to be joyful about. And so when I meet people for the first time or, you know, if they were referred to me or whatnot, we typically meet, sometimes it's over the phone if there's distance, but we typically meet at a coffee shop or a restaurant. And then I kind of dive into like outside of the what do you need in a home, obviously.
4 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms,
kind of the list.
Right.
The best part, I think, of the conversation is asking them, like, what's your favorite part of your day? And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I love when I like have my tea and my book at night. Or, oh, we go for, you know, a nightly walk with the dogs. Or if they're family planning, like, okay, do you think that, do you want to park nearby? Maybe to teach your kids how to ride a bike. Like, I remember where I learned how to ride a bike.
Do you really?
Yep. It was in Kettering. We lived here once before now. And it was
you were here and then you moved away and then you came back. Okay, got it.
And we lived in the neighborhood off of Walden Way behind where the green currently is. So when we lived here the first time, that was all grass. There was nothing there. And I remember my mom and dad took me to where they had the swimming pool parking lot. And we lived in a community that was mostly like elderly people. Yeah. And so like my neighbors loved that there was like a little kid in the neighborhood.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And I remember, and I remember my dad took me to the little pool parking lot, and that's why I learned how to ride a bike. And so it's so funny. Every time I drive past the green when I'm going in that direction, I think of that every time. And
so good memories.
Yeah. And so it's like helping people romanticize where they're going to create these core memories because, you know, some people are here for a short time or a long time or forever. And so like really helping them think about, like I said, like where they want to teach their family how to ride a bike or, you know, if they really love kind of their downtime, their slow mornings. That's me. I'm a slow morning girl all the way. I love my coffee.
I think you wrote that in your notes too.
I probably did. Yeah. My morning starts with like, you know, opening, I call it waking up my house, and I wake up all the curtains and I lift the windows, and my dog and I have our routine. And,
what kind of dog and
she's so silly. She is a German Shepherd mix of sorts.
Okay.
I there has to be like a golden or collie in there somewhere because she's too friendly in a way.
Unusual for
shepherds, I think. Yeah. She's so funny. Yeah. And I just, you know, she's a big part of my business as well. I had a dog before that went to heaven, and she was like the love of my life and went through so many different life transitions with me. And when I got my real estate license, she came with me all the time. Yes. She was a part of my marketing. And so then when she passed away, I didn't know what to do. Yeah. I just felt so like, okay,
Like your partner died.
Yeah. She was just the best thing that ever happened to me. And I missed like the little tippy tappies in the house. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to foster. And I did this like way too soon. Like I started fostering like a month later. And oh my gosh, it took over a year for me to really like settle in with Nova because she had a lot of training that she needed. Shepherds are not for weak people. Like they will test you. They are so smart.
They're so smart.
Oh my goodness. She tested me in every way possible, but she brings so much joy.
Yeah.
Like,
so you fostered her and then you ended up adopting her.
oh yeah, I knew.
You knew you would.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I went and fostered her from the agency or the, rescue, and they never asked for her back. And I think they're just overwhelmed. You know, they get so many dogs and they have so much intake with these animals. And so I just felt like, well, if they ever asked for her back, I've already paid for various rounds of medical care. I paid for all her grooming. And at that point, she was already mine,
Yeah,
you know?
you were bonded.
Yeah. And so they know now. And like my parents have stopped by there and they ask about her and they love to see that she's a part of my marketing now. And they, you know, some of them are friends with me on Facebook, and it's cute to be like, oh my gosh, this dog was found in the middle of West Virginia. I believe they found her like wandering. Yeah.
What a story she must have.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
she the dog version of you?
I think both my girls I was a lot like both of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see myself in both the girls, but yeah, probably. She's very social. She's very funny. She's sweet.
As you're describing her, I'm thinking, this is the dog version of you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And she was found, like I said, in the woods, wandering somewhere. And just recently I had taken a picture of her for Facebook or Instagram. And I said, I was just getting so emotional thinking that this girl was just lost. And like now she takes a nap on my couch every day. She has the best life. And that's so special
But she was
for
so
me.
lonely and by herself and doing her thing.
Yeah.
So somebody found her and rescued her. And then you got her.
And then I got her, and now she's stuck with me forever.
How do you work her into your marketing?
So she's a part of a lot of my graphics. I post a lot that she's like my assistant. And you know what's so
love
fun
your
is
pictures.
that
Yeah. You do a great job with your
Thank
social
you.
media.
I really appreciate that. Social media has been such a hard well, we can get into that
Yeah,
later.
yeah,
But
that's really fine. Yeah.
She's such a blessing. But yeah, she's in a lot of my graphics. I post a lot about her being my marketing assistant, my, my client coordinator. It's so fun though. Like people know that I have her, and it started with Mocha, my old dog, and people would really look forward to seeing her. And so she would come on all the showings with me. She went to a couple closings with me. And then, after she passed away, it was like that was just a part of my my business model, just naturally, you know? And so she's typically with me now. And so people are like, oh, is Nova in the car? Or they ask
they're
about
looking for
her.
her.
Yes, they ask about her. And, if they're dog people, they usually want her to like come out. And it's the best feeling ever. Actually, just a couple weeks ago, I was showing my listing to a couple of buyers that had reached out to me. And they came out and we met in front of the house. And they're like, oh my gosh, is that a shepherd? And I said, yeah, she's a mix of sorts. And they told me all about how they had huskies. And they're like, do you mind? Like, can we pet her before we do the tour? And I said, oh my gosh, absolutely. And so then when we got done with the tour and then, we were leaving, the wife was like, just thank you for like sharing her with us. Like that just like made our day. And I think their huskies had since passed. And so that is like such a big part of my life that if I can share that with people who, just need like some loving, she's got it.
There is some comfort that comes with animals. They're very healing. They're very intuitive.
Yeah.
Has she ever gone in, has Nova ever gone into a house where it's like she wouldn't go in?
So I don't typically take her into homes.
Okay.
I'll take her sometimes if there's like acreage.
Okay.
Or if I know that there's like a creek on site or something. And usually it's like kind of while we're waiting for clients or if they want to see her.
Yeah.
But usually she's just in the car waiting for me. And it's so great that you say that animals are therapeutic because I had a horse at one time and that's why I got her was for the therapy aspect of it. And that helped me tremendously. But with Nova, it's so special to see that people look forward to seeing her. And if she's not with me, they're like, well, where is she? I'm like, she's taking a nap. She had a long day this morning.
Where is she?
Yeah, we had a long day yesterday. She needs like a day off.
Beauty sleep.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping us, but where's your dog?
Yeah, I'm actually getting new signs made. And I think instead of, the company logo being like right in the middle as is pretty traditional, I'm going to put us on it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then just make our picture kind of in the middle piece of the frame. And then like I'll have my name and phone number so that there's not the bottom piece and the top piece. Because right now the signs are 3 parts. And so I was like, how can I like condense this so that it's like one graphic. And I was like, her face is going to be on there. I should have done it years ago, but doing it by myself, it's like there's a lot.
There are a lot of pieces and parts, but I think it's a wonderful idea to do because obviously you two are associated together. So, and they're looking for her.
I think so.
And then when you see a yard sign, it's like, there's that girl, there's Giselle and her dog, Nova.
It's so funny too, because I like to keep things as professional as possible, but I think the beauty of working for yourself is that like, there really aren't any rules on how you want to do business. I mean, obviously we have parameters, but it's funny because I'll joke like, if you meet me, like I'm most likely covered in dog hair. I do my best. I have like my bag in my car that has extra clothes and hair products or like the lint roller. But after a while, she's like, this is just a part of it. Yeah. I'm so used to having like dog hair in my coffee. I just don't even try anymore. And it's, it just is what
That's your life.
So are you a one dog, one woman company? Do you have other employees? Do you have other partners?
So I work for a brokerage. We're a small boutique brokerage. I think we have 6 girls.
Called what?
Rain Realty. And so we used to be based out of Springboro, but now we're in Centerville. So we've moved our office. So we're a small team. We're all independent. I don't have like a micro team or people that work under me. Hopefully that will change soon. Yeah. I'm really at that point now where I want to bring someone on to help me. I feel like I'm at that point in my career now where I've given the best of myself without having anyone else to really support, whether it's like an admin or a showing assistant. And it's such a great problem to have, but it's, it's a lot of balancing, and I need to make time for my family and my friends and the things that I enjoy too. So no team member yet for me, but hopefully that's coming this year.
That could be happening though. Like
team member.
That person
team
could
member?
be sitting
Are
on
you
the
the
other
team
side
member?
of that camera.
I'm looking forward to it. It's like
you'll know.
Yeah, and
you'll know when it's time, and you'll know the right person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very like energetic person. I really don't know if I'm like introverted or extroverted because I get so high energy, but then I need like 3 days to recover. So I need someone that kind of really balances that. And like I said, I'm a lot like my dad, where I'm not shy of being on camera. I'm not shy of speaking in front of an audience, but I need like that recovery time. That's really important for me. So
yeah, as you build up and you give all of that energy to your audience, right? And then it's like, oh, I need to fill back up again.
I know. It's like you got to fill your cup. And, when I started this, journey in real estate, like you always hope that you'll get to a place where you're like, wow, like I feel good about where I'm at in my career. And then it's like, I'm here now. And it feels really good. I mean, there's still so much to learn. I learn new things every day. And it's like, I don't feel like a beginner anymore by any means. But I remember my dad always telling me, don't compare yourself, your middle or your beginning to someone else's middle.
Yes.
And I think about that so much in my career. Like someone else is starting out where I started out, and like they're reaching out to me like, hey, what should I do here? Hey, can you tell me about real estate? Like, what should I know? What should I do? And I just think to myself like, oh my gosh, like that's wild to think about. Yeah.
Well, and when you first started, you had mentioned in your notes that your thought was, I can do anything for 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
You thought that you were just going to maybe play with this a little bit, but it has turned into 7 years.
Yeah.
So where were you coming from that you decided to try this for 6 months?
So this really makes me smile because it's 2 of my career changes in my life were very divinely led. And that's the only thing I can really say about it. So after college, I had interned at the Nutter Center and at a magazine in Columbus. And so I was
That's kind of fun.
It was super fun. Yeah. So I was commuting a lot back and forth. I worked with concerts and special events and PR and
action.
Yeah. So much fun. And so I always thought I was either going to work in like the PR event space or maybe in the retail capacity. And so my career started off working in retail, working kind of in the digital marketing quality assurance space. And I was challenged creatively because I'm a really creative person, and I don't do well sitting behind a desk all day. I have too much energy in my body. Like I got to get it out, right? So I was there for several years, and I just thought, man, there's potential here that I'm not exploring, and I don't know what to do. And
you could just feel it.
I could just feel that my time there was coming to an end. And so then when I was in this transition of like, what am I going to do next? And I've practiced yoga for many years. And I remember my yoga teacher reached out to me. She sent me an email. She said, hey, I got this chiropractor that's looking for help, and I think you'd be like great for it. I'd love to connect you. And my first thought was like, absolutely not. Because I was raised in the military, and when you go to military hospitals, you never see the same physician twice. I didn't trust medical professionals. I thought they're going to poke me and ask me the same questions, and we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I think a couple days maybe went by, and I remember just really asking God to like hear his voice and to like feel him nudge me and like show me what to do. And so I remember I called the office, and the gal that answered, her name is Jenny, and she's one of my closest friends now.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, she's great. So she answered and asked me to come in, and I met with Dr. Allison. And I remember I met Dr. Allison, and I was like, whoa. Like, I don't know what just happened. She's amazing. Like, she has so much life and so much passion for the body and holistic health. And I thought, oh man, like, all right, well, I don't have anything else on deck, so like, I'll just do it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is just temporary. It's like no big deal.
Temporary with her too?
Well, at that time, I was looking for full-time work, and, you know, their hours and kind of what they needed from the role was probably more part-time from what I remember. And that was the biggest blessing, and something I'll share with you that I think you'll really appreciate. I remember my first day on the job, so like that next day or next week, whatever it was. I remember I walked in for my shift, and I had never experienced this before. And I walk in, and we're going over all the patients coming in that day, and they said, okay, let's pray. And it's like 7:45 in the morning, and they're praying for the patients coming into the office. And I was raised Catholic, but at that point I was kind of away from my faith for years. Yeah. And I'm weeping. Like, I felt just this overwhelming, like, I've never heard anyone pray out loud and pray for people that are in different walks of life and like praying for their healing of their body or praying for their baby or, you know, they knew very intimate things about their patients. And so I'm standing there and I'm just sweating and crying and I don't know what's happening. And
It's a great way to start,
oh my gosh, it changed. Working for them changed the direction of my life. Like, I really believe that wholeheartedly.
Good job, Dr. Ellison,
yeah,
Dr. Dan.
Yeah, they're incredible people. Yeah. And so, you know, I was able to just like express myself creatively. Yeah. I started an Instagram. I did all their Facebook. I told Allison, I want you to talk about everything that you know, and I'm going to record you, and I'll learn how to edit. And I taught myself everything. I made graphics, and I did their YouTube, and I started doing Facebook Lives about oils and chiropractic and healthy habits and drink water before coffee and all these things. And they just let me blossom. So everything that had been trapped for years before, they just let me express, whether it was through chiropractic care or like the things I enjoyed. And so they really launched my career creatively. So I have so much to thank them for. And then it was like, you know, years later, you know, kind of deciding like what's next. You know, I'm such an advocate for the profession and holistic health. And actually my mom had a cancer diagnosis years ago, and Dr. Allison like stepped up for my mom.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, my
kind of gave her some guidance.
Yeah, I gave her guidance, and, you know, she's just been very involved with my family. And so then I was like, okay, like what's next? And while I was working for them, I had my horse at that time. And so, so cool.
Where did you keep your horse?
It was at Pathfinder Stables off of Washington Mill. They're no longer there. That family was military. And so sadly, I ended up selling my horse just after years of having her. You know, they got orders very quickly, and it was like right when my mom had cancer. And so then
it's hard to find a place for a horse.
Yeah, everything was booked up. I mean, within like a 30-minute radius, and you know, I needed to be with my family, and that was kind of creating a stress. But having a horse was such a blessing. So anyway, the where that comes into play is I was like, okay, I love what I'm doing here, but I have more time. So I talked to my barn owners, and I was like, you guys have so much potential in this facility. Like, let me just see what's possible. And they were like, do whatever you want. So I hosted baby showers, engagement photos, classes for 4-H.
At the barn?
Girls, Girl Scouts. I hosted markets, like holiday markets, shopping markets. I literally, like, I find an opportunity, and I use my resources, and I'm like, I know you, and this is going to be great. And I'm going to have, you know, pizza and all this. And you know, it was so much fun.
That is incredible. And this is why you're such a light for Beauty Boost.
You know, yes, because, I love it so much.
I mean, you just shine there, Giselle.
Thank you.
You do. And because you're in your element, aren't you? It's like all these people all together.
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I think it's in the book of Romans, but there is a Bible verse that talks about, like, if God has given you a gift, use it well. And, you know, if you're a teacher, teach well. If you're in finance, you know, lead people down a path of like stewarding their money. And I think about that often, like, if my role is to just show you what you're capable of or who you need to know or, you know, like, I'm going to let you know. And I want you to know like how special that is. And so I've done that for various different companies. And so that snowballed into doing social media for other businesses. And at one point, my gosh, I had, 3 or 4 different clients, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, I didn't have a business. I was just like,
But they were still your clients, so you kind of did have a
They
business.
were like, hey, we like what you're doing. Can you do that for me? And I was
Yeah.
like, sure.
Yeah.
I'll just add more to my plate, And so how that leads into real estate then is the lady that owned Zebra Girl Boutique in Centerville. Her name's Natasha.
Okay.
She's a fabulous human. The shop is no longer there. It's now Manna. The
Okay.
building
Oh,
was
that's
purchased.
Manna?
Yeah, that's Manna.
We almost went there for lunch today.
It's amazing. You'll love it. It's
Yes.
one of my favorites. Well, Natasha is just so wonderful, and she's like, "Hey, there's a real estate office next to where I work, and I think you'd really like to meet the broker. I think your marketing skills and just like how you use social media could be really beneficial." So I meet with him, and we were just too far apart at that time of like what I needed and like what he needed, and so we kind of parted ways. And he was like, "Yeah, I want to check in with you and like see how things are going." And he had checked in and asked about if I wanted to be a real estate agent, and I was like, "Absolutely not." No, hard no. Like not doing sales.
So how long after you guys had that
gosh.
initial graphic design meeting?
Probably like over a year. Okay, so what's interesting?
Oh, interesting. That's a long time.
Yeah, so what's interesting is like then we had, we'd had that meeting. Time goes on. I was still contract kind of freelancing for the chiropractors, but I had accepted a full-time job doing e-commerce marketing for Pet Value, who had bought out Jack's Aquarium.
Yes.
That's really big here in Dayton.
That is a big thing. It was.
Yeah, it was
we
a big
used
name.
to. Yes, we.
Yeah,
went there
I
a
remember
lot.
going to like get fish and like, oh my gosh.
And just go in there and look at the fish.
Yeah, exactly.
they had the saltwater aquariums.
Yes. And so, anyway, so I was still kind of freelancing for the chiropractors, but I had taken a full-time job. And gosh, like a year goes by and we had gotten wind that they were downsizing. And I thought, I applied for like 100 jobs by the time I got this one. I mean, it was applying for work is you know, a time-consuming process.
It's a full-time job, looking for a job.
Yeah, you modify your resume, you do all these different things. And so when we got wind that was happening.
And you're talking about Pet Value.
Yeah.
Was going to downsize. Okay.
Yep. And so I think I had ran into Gene, my old broker, around the holidays at Natasha's shop. And he's like, "I've been thinking about you." And I was like, no, it's still not the right time. So anyway, so come, I think March, my department gets news, hey, we're closing. And I thought, oh my gosh, okay, another transition. Like, what am I going to do? And I thought, you know what? I know that he wants me to work with him. And so I think I called him on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
We made our, moves there. And I think I started school on Monday.
Wow.
And I was like, all right. And that's where
5 days later.
Yeah, pretty much. And so school took me, I think, like a solid month. I took the in-person classes and then I took a month off to just like decompress, mentally prepare myself. Right. Because at that point, my identity was so wrapped up in being like a wellness advocate. And I'd spent so much time kind of, you talked about branding earlier. And so I was really well known in that community. And so I was really struggling mentally to like turn that off. But I thought, okay, I can do anything for 6 months. Like this will be
Another one.
another one. And I'm going to pivot again and it's going to be great. And so he was such a great mentor and a great coach. And like, it's like a month in, 3 months in, 6 months in, 9 months in. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm still here. Business is, it's slow. And I said I like slow mornings, and it's so funny because I feel like in my life and in my business, I really love like slow and sustainable. So I think about that a lot. Like I'm not quick to make decisions. Like, and I'm sure Jean at one point was like, man, this girl like won't make up her mind. Like, and it's not that. It's that I have to really feel connected to that decision. But again,
it's better that way, don't you think?
Yeah. And the two things that changed my life so dramatically are saying yes to working at Freedom Family and then saying yes to real estate. And they were both so divinely led. And I see that and I am just so grateful for it. So
yeah. And it's interesting that people connected you to it. Like you're a connector, but people connected you to these two places, right?
Yep.
That's what makes the world go round.
It is what makes
It's
the world
never
go
what
round.
you know. It's always going to be connected to who you know.
Yeah.
And who can we? And that's kind of the purpose of this episode is to just let your circle expand with whoever else's circle needs to be expanding with you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. So you've been doing this for 7 years. What's your favorite part of being a real estate agent? Like it's I mean, there's got to be a lot of good parts. Is the
Yeah.
paperwork your favorite?
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm ready to hire that out, actually. Well, my mom just retired last year.
You
so-
had mentioned that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find out, did you ever work for your dad?
Briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
How
I
did
did
that
social
go?
media for my dad.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah. It was fun. My dad and I used to do Facebook Lives about
that's so cool.
talking about like budgeting and
Yeah.
he works with a lot of military families and retirement planning
Sure.
for retirement, things like that. And he really wants to teach people my age or younger
Mm-hmm.
on why it's so important to prepare and plan for the future and put money aside. And so I was going on these Facebook Lives with my dad talking about how hard it is. You're working so hard for your money and, you have your financial advisor saying like, you really need to set your pennies aside and whatever. And I'm so grateful for that as well, because now, almost 20 years later, like I see the value in that and I'm so glad I stuck with it. But yes, I did work for my dad. I helped him
love
with his
that, yeah.
events and various things.
And now your mom might help you.
Yeah, my mom helps my dad now that she's retired. So she works with my dad and she does help me now. She'll take me to appointments if I need to like send emails or
gotcha.
if I'm editing videos.
She's your
and
driver.
Sometimes, yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Good job, Mom.
family
Driver,
affair.
secretary,
Yes,
lunch maker.
Oh my gosh. Well, back to your question. As far as like my favorite thing about real estate, there are so many elements that I really enjoy. So again, it allows me to be creative on how I'm marketing properties. I mean, just working with people, I feel like every agent probably says this, but like my clients are the coolest. Like they're good humans. Most of my clients have come from referrals and people that I already know or through networking groups and such. And so they're cool. They're entrepreneurs. They're young families. I mean, it's so fun. I've gotten to know them really well. And some of my clients, I'm helping them paint before the house gets listed. I've helped them pack. I've helped a client rehome their dog because he was moving into a facility. And so I had the dog with me. And so there's so many different elements. And, some people might say like that's not part of the job,
right?
But I wouldn't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah.
Like I help people facilitate their movers. I stage, properties, or I hire a stager. I have cleaners that clean all my listings.
Okay.
I want it to be show ready.
Yes.
My name is on the listing,
Exactly.
so I really take pride in that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So do you have more houses more sellers or more buyers?
In the last couple of years, it's been more sellers.
Okay.
But it fluctuates. I mean, last year I think I had like 9 listings and like 7 or 8 buyers. And this year so far they've been more listings than buyers, but they're both.
I saw a stat recently that said the average person in real estate last year did not sell a property.
Yeah, that was probably from Jared James. He's a real estate coach, and he puts out a lot of really great content. I watch a lot of his content regularly. And yeah, he posted some statistics about how, most realtors last year.
It was startling.
Yeah, it really was. It said most did not sell any, and it was like under, 10% or something sold 10, and then like 0.02% or 2% sold over that amount. And so he wrote, if you worked with an agent last year that did a great job for you, like be loyal to them because they're doing a really good job. And like, you want someone that is committed to you and that. And yeah, it was startling for me too, to see that, because I had a great year. And so to hear that other agents are struggling, like I've been there.
Is it because there's not enough homes on the market?
I don't think so. I think there's opportunity for everyone.
Everybody. Okay.
Yeah. And I think back to the gifts, it's like you really need to figure out when you're in this business what you're going to lean into. And a lot of people are leveraging social media, but it doesn't mean you have to be a content creator. It doesn't mean you have to spend the bulk of your time online. And I really struggle with this now, but I'm finding a better harmony with it because I actually wrote down every client I've ever worked with in 7 years and I color coded where they came from.
Yeah, good idea.
And I realized that out of, 60 plus people, it was like less than 20 came from social media. And I thought, I'm spending a lot of time in an area that's actually not producing. And that doesn't mean that that's, what is happening for everyone else. Like one agent might spend a lot of their time on social and they might be getting that, movement from social media. That's just not my story. And so
where are they coming from?
a lot of it's from clients that I work with. Referrals. Yeah, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Some networking organizations, and then some from social media, but I would say most of it's like my sphere of influence, people that I knew from the wellness space or people that I worked with previously, and then a lot of referrals. And I'm so grateful. Like I said, I have the coolest clients and I just appreciate that they enjoyed working with me enough that they trust me to take care of their friends and family. Like, it's just such a blessing. And sometimes I wake up and I'm like,
Is this real life?
like,
I'm getting paid to do this.
yeah, like it's just.
But you know what? It
cool.
sounds like your philosophy, if you're going to kind of sum it up in a short nutshell, it sounds like you have learned that the best way to get what you want is to be helping other people get what they want.
Yeah.
And you're putting your clients ahead of you. That's why you'll babysit a dog, or that's why you'll help them roll paint or whatever. And so you're helping them achieve their dreams, which just automatically kind of feeds into your own.
Yeah. And part of helping them achieve that dream is getting to know them by asking those things like, what's your favorite part of your day? Or like, what's your favorite restaurant? Or like, and honestly, the biggest, I don't know, I get the biggest smile on my face when I get that text or someone tags me on Facebook. Like, I finally checked out that coffee shop that Giselle recommended. Or, oh my gosh, Giselle, we went to that restaurant that you mentioned. We went hiking at Sugar Creek and we loved it.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like the coolest because I remember years ago, you know, and it might have been the narrative at the time of just people being like, there's nothing to do in Dayton. And I probably at one point maybe felt that way, younger in college. I don't know. Because, you know, I was commuting to Cincinnati and Columbus for work.
Okay.
And so, you know, you come from like bigger cities like that that have like this fun and, you know, enthusiastic downtown.
Sure.
And
Lots of traffic.
Lots of traffic. Yes, lots of traffic. And then you come to Dayton and it's smaller and it's, you know, just on a smaller scale. And I think I just kind of realized like you have to make the best of where you're at right now.
Yeah.
And so that really just kind of launched me into like, it's so funny. I would literally drive around for hours and I would just go to some random community and be like, oh, where do people go to eat here? Where do people go to coffee here? So when people are working with me, I tell them this is a great spot to get coffee, where to get breakfast, and a park nearby. Like, that's so important to me for them to
Smart.
So important. So do you stalk people like when they leave their house? It's like, where are they going? Like, how do you figure
stalk people?
Well, like, how do you figure out? You just drive around to see where the restaurants are that are close to that neighborhood?
No, I just explore for myself.
Okay, you're exploring for yourself,
Yeah, I go for
and
myself,
you just
and I'm like, hey,
where are they
if
going?
you love like juicery, I got a juicery for you.
Yeah.
If you love breakfast, I got a breakfast spot. And most
that's
of them
so
are like
cool.
mom and pop.
Yep.
Owned. I mean, obviously,
that's so good.
And you know, I think like small businesses are like such the heartbeat of a community. And if you really think about like, what would Centerville be without like Bill's Donuts or Lefties in Fairborn or Giovanni's or these places that are like kind of famous within their own community? Like, can you imagine your core memories were there as a kid and all of a sudden they go out of business, whether it's because they don't have a succession plan or people just weren't coming in, things were changing because they're shopping online, boutiques, things like that.
Yeah, boutiques.
And we need like bigger companies too, right? They create jobs and they have benefits and the things that are really important, you know, to maintain your household. So we need those too. But, you know, when you recycle your money in your own community, like that's actually what increases your community's value. And furthermore, you never know. Yeah, thank you. I said, yeah, like I know. I didn't mean it like that. No, I didn't
But
mean
it's
it like
so true.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hitting a lot of really great points.
Thank you. And it's
recycling your money in your community.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
And real money. If you have like cash money, like real money, not plastic money.
Yes. And it's like, you know, when you think about it, like you're asking your neighbors for the sponsorships. You're asking your neighbors, your community members to help you when you have a fundraiser. You know, some of these bigger companies may support, but typically you're asking someone that also has a business. And so to make sure that you're recycling that money and maybe if, you know, financial resources aren't available at the time, it costs nothing to write a review. You should look at my Google. I get emails every day that's like 400,000 people have seen your images and read your reviews. And that's the free.
Wow.
It's a free gift for a business. If you have a good experience, write them a review.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's completely free, like you said.
It's completely free. Show whatever you ate or your coffee or like the beautiful flowers at the park. Like, because, you know, like I live in Centerville and Washington Centerville parks take great care of their parks.
Beautiful there.
You know, and like those are things that I look at now differently and I appreciate more.
And you let them know that you appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you call them out on it.
Yeah.
Our business coaches talked about relationship capital. They talk about that a lot. And I think you are a pro at relationship capital.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It would seem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Like you get it.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. Because sometimes I feel like I'm just, you know, I feel like I'm just like spinning my wheels. And I, you know, I kind of think to myself, like, I feel like I'm on this hamster wheel that I can't get off.
Yeah.
You know, with real estate, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine the other day. We went to coffee in New Carlisle. she's been out of state for several years working on ranches. And she came home. I know, so cool. She's
Not Jenny, though.
Studebaker's?
No, not Jenny. No, she was working at a ranch in Colorado.
No, where'd you go for coffee in New Carolina? Melody?
Penny Lane.
Yeah,
Penny Lane. Okay.
Yeah. And so I love that they do coffee flights, like seasonal coffee flights. And so I told her we have to go for a Valentine's coffee flight before you
I
take
saw
off.
your post.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and so we met there, and it was so interesting that she explained this concept of like when you do contract work. So her example was like on this big ranch. It's like she's living in like Yellowstone. So cool if you've seen the show.
gosh,
That's like her life. And so she was talking about, when you do contract work, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you plan accordingly. In real estate, there's no beginning, middle, end. Yeah. It's just you're going. And there are seasons where you kind of have like a week or two where people aren't looking, or all your clients have closed, and then you have a week off. But there's not a lot of time to mentally decompress. A client of mine actually told me on one of my last closings, he said, man, he was like, oh, it's going to be so strange, like not talking to every day. I said, I know, I spend more time with them than I do my family,
When they're in this process.
When they're in the process, I get to know them so well. Like I said, I'm like holding their kids' hands, going through houses, and I'm spending more time with them than my own friends and family, sometimes for 3 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes more. And so we're having this like heartfelt moment at the end of closing with him and his wife, and just talking about the process and their little boy. And he said, man, it's like you're going through a breakup every 3 months. And he couldn't be more true. Wow. It's so true. It's like I have to let them go and like let them live their life. And
Well, you can stay connected though.
Oh, of course. And I do.
Like usually when you break up with a person in a breakup, like we don't need to be connected anymore.
No, that's true.
So your people are still connected.
Yeah, and I'm still connected to them. But if you really think about it, I have such a small part in the story. Like they're going to be there 5+ years.
Right.
But in terms of like longevity, like I'm way over here when they're going to live all this time. And I do keep in touch, and I check in, and like I said, I love getting the, oh my gosh, we decorated for Christmas and this and that. But one of the things that's been challenging to learn on my end is like some people, they hire you, they enjoy you. When the service is complete, they move on. And like they keep in touch occasionally. Sure. And then there are other people where you go through the process with them, the service is complete, and they're like, when can I see you again?
Yeah,
like, can we get together?
You want to come over for breakfast?
It's like, and it's on my website, and it's very true. It's like, it's not just business, you get a friend out of it too. And I really believe that. And some people, it's like, it's cool. Like I got what I needed and life is good and I can't wait to see you when the time comes. But like, that's that. And then other people want to stay more connected. And I've had to learn like what people need from you is very unique and very different.
How do you, what skills do you use to figure that out?
I mean,
like, is it just a vibe that you get, or?
No, it's sometimes like after closing, some people will start texting like, oh, we painted that room. Oh. Do you remember that lime green color? Or, oh my gosh, we ripped out all the flower beds and all the weeds and we're starting over. One client that I worked with, her family was so cute. They bought a little more south of town, and she texted me a picture. They bought, I think, end of summer, and she's like a holiday fanatic, wants to decorate for every holiday. And she sent me, I think, her Halloween decorations and her Christmas decorations. And like, I loved it. And she painted the fireplace black and like, look at what we did. Yeah. It's so cool.
So she was showing you all the updates. Did you guys talk about ways that they could upgrade it as you were going through? Yeah. And then she wanted to show you.
Yeah. So in her case, her dad had built homes, I believe, and had done renovation. Okay. And so she knew that her dad was going to like help her with all this. But it's like, it's just so much fun. Yeah. Like, or when they tell me like, oh my gosh, like we adopted a dog, and it's just such a beautiful thing to be a part of, whether it's, just for that 3 months, or if they do want to keep in touch. Like I recognize, like, again, I take my job really seriously, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. But I recognize like I have a really small part in the story, and I'm okay to like let them continue living and loving and enjoying their community.
And they'll connect with you again because you did such a great job with it.
Yeah.
Do you have any generational people yet? Like we helped mom and dad, and now their kids are buying.
Many. Actually, a lot of my
wild.
clients,
In 7 years?
Yeah, actually, several of my clients have recommended me to their parents, or I've sold, a grandparent's home. Recently I've been selling a lot of inherited properties where, a parent or a grandparent has passed away. That kind of comes in clusters. Yeah. And so that's always a little more challenging because there's more emotion with it.
For sure.
One family I sold the mother and father's house, or the mother's house. The mother had passed away, and it was a couple, and they were just lovely people. I worked with them, I think, for 7 or 8 months to help them get the house ready.
Wow.
They had a lot to clear out, a lot of emotional heartache and just grieving. And part of my job is to help people grieve, whether it's, you know, telling me what happened, or just sometimes we'll be cleaning out boxes and they get really emotional, or sometimes they'll call and just kind of vent about, like, I went through the box and I found, you know, the pictures or whatever, and just, again, being what they need. And so
Ears and shoulders, right?
yeah,
And a big heart.
yeah, and it gets heavy sometimes, but I'm so grateful. But anyway, so I helped sell the grandmother's home that passed away, did a great job for the, you know, the husband and wife, and then she recommended me to her daughter, so I'm helping her now. And I've helped several buy and sell, whether it's parents or children or grandparents, and that, I mean, that just means the world. That you know, because if I wasn't a real estate agent and I had worked with someone, you know, trusting them to take care of my mom and dad is a really special thing, and so I don't take that lightly.
It's an honor.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor. So when you are working with a seller, are there upgrades that you recommend? You said that you also go in and help with staging, so that, like, for this home, they probably emptied it.
Not always, no.
Not all the way. Okay.
So I work with a really great lady now named Holly. She
Oh,
does
I
staging.
know Holly.
Oh, do you?
Holly Kowalski?
Yes,
Is that how you say
I
it?
just adore her. She's so sweet. So I started working with her to help me stage, because I used to do some light staging. And now that I'm, you know, 7 years in business, I'm really good at delegating things now. Time is money. And there are certain things that I cannot spend time on anymore, and I need to delegate that out. And that's probably one of the smartest things I've done for my business. Hiring Chelsea was another one. I've worked with her for just shy of a year now, and I adore her, and she helps me
She's brilliant.
stay level-headed.
Same. I mean,
Yeah.
through this book launch, she has helped me
I can
every
imagine.
step of the way. Like every week
I can
we're
imagine.
on, you know, doing that
Yeah,
thing.
she's such an important part of my business.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started working with Holly because I was doing.
Hi, Holly, by the way. Hi, Holly.
Hi, Chelsea. So I was doing
Chelsea.
light staging, and I started realizing, like, I have all this furniture in my basement, like odds and ends. I'm like, I just cannot.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like I'm drowning in all this stuff, right? And so. So I would go through my listing appointment, and I basically walk in and I tell them, just show me around.
Yeah.
Very casual. Don't worry about the mess. This is you're living here. Like, just show me around. And so while they're talking me through, people will typically tell me what they were already thinking about doing. And they want confirmation if it's worth doing or not doing.
Like, should I do this bathroom before I sell?
And, you know, it might be an unpopular opinion, but for me, when you're talking about big renovations like bathrooms and kitchens, my viewpoint is, if you're going to spend the money on something like that, you should want to enjoy it for a little bit, because ultimately you're fixing it for someone else to enjoy. And unless your mindset is an investor mindset where you're just, you know, renovating and the intention is to sell it, if you have been happy in your home, you know, like, someone else will be happy in it. You don't need to pour all this money into it to just let it go.
And the hassle of the actual renovation
Yeah,
itself.
finding contractors that are, you know, doing good work, that are showing up on time, you know what I mean, that sort of thing. So
Absolutely.
you're opening up a different level of stress if you decide to go that route. So normally the things I'll, like, you know, recommend are, how much time do you have? Do you have a budget to do painting, to do some of these like odds and ends? You know, maybe they need a new appliance set, or something's broken and can they fix it? So I really like ask them straight up, do you have a budget for this?
Right.
If you don't, that's okay.
Yeah.
It'll be reflected in pricing. If you do, this is what I would recommend.
So it all kind of works out in the end. Is that how you see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that philosophy of, you know, taking whatever you're going to do it and live in it and enjoy it. Terry and I have always had the philosophy of living on vacation. Like, when you go to a vacation home, it just feels different, right? You just are relaxed, like you're enjoying your cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And so just making it that way to live in for as long as you want to. But yeah.
So fun. Yeah. It's something where I just feel so grateful to be a part of that process. And, you know, I just believe so deeply in, like, leaving people, places, and things better than you found them. You know, and I think whether you're religious or a believer or not, like, I think for me, I really believe that God put me here to do the best I can with what I have. And eventually those things will, you know, leave a legacy, or they'll impact someone. And there are things that I remember that people have said to me years ago that are just like, they're a part of me now.
Do you journal?
Sometimes I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have like a stack of journals from when I was little. And I think a lot of it was, going through challenging things because, like I said, I grew up in the military and just like really struggling with a lot of that and that identity of like, I don't belong here nor there, which is a great thing, but it's also really difficult. And so I think I got to a point a few years ago where I was ready to let them go. And I feel so at peace with that now. Yeah. I should journal more though, because now I'm in a different season of life.
Season of life and you more awareness of what your thoughts are, but also writing down things like that, things that people say to you that, reflect what you're doing and how you've helped them and what your journey looks like and what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
It's really extraordinary. It's amazing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're marvelous. We could go for another hour.
We really could. That's what I was just looking at. I'm like, how can it be 50 minutes already?
Already?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I did all the talking. I'm sorry.
You're supposed to.
name of
You
this
were
game?
supposed to do all the talking. Thank you for doing all the talking. Thank you for answering the questions and elaborating on the
Can you imagine
questions.
if it was just you and I, just looking at that side with nobody talking? This would have been horrible.
One of the things you talked about are your honey lattes, though.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, what's your favorite place to get your honey lattes?
I really like Pettibone.
Okay,
Off of, what is it, Woodman back there.
Yep.
I really like Felicity in Centerville. They make a really great vanilla latte.
I don't know that place.
Yeah, so Megan and Earl are wonderful people. They also own Power Plant, the juicery in Centerville. It's
I do know that.
Yeah, so
Okay,
they own
yes,
that.
I've
She used to
been
be
there.
my yoga teacher years ago.
Really?
And
Oh
I
my
just,
gosh,
I
yeah.
support anything that they're into because I think they do great things for the community.
So when they first started, they did juice deliveries, and I think
did
they
they?
were the first ones that I used for juice cleanses.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't
way
think
back in the
that.
day.
I have a couple of their juices in my fridge right now.
Oh, they are delicious, and I love their they have the different toasts there when you go.
And the bowls.
And the
they have
bowls,
like
too.
acai bowls and things. Yeah. I love Coffee Hub. They have a Beaver Creek, Waynesville, Xenia, and Centerville location. I really like, they have a coconut latte. That's good. I like that ice like during the summer.
Okay.
That ended up being like my go-to. Yeah.
And they're a bit of a ministry as well. They do coffee, but yeah, that has a very ministry oriented
Really? I don't
mindset
think
behind
I knew
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I work out of the Beaver Creek location quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have your laptop set up in there. Yep.
Yeah, my parents live in Beaver Creek. I'm in Centerville. So when I stop by to see my mom and dad, I usually stop there and then come home.
Yeah. I usually end by asking if you want to share anything else, but I feel like you've shared so many golden nuggets throughout this whole thing that it's like, I don't know if there's anything else you could add, but you're welcome to if you'd like to.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel just, like I said, I'm like buzzing. I'm just happy to be here.
So happy you're here too. How about how they can connect with you?
Oh, okay. So I have a website, JiselleMyHouse.com.
GiselleMyHouse.com.
It works.
Yeah, thank you.
GiselleMyHouse.com.
Yeah,
and then your
GiselleMyHouse.com.
socials, and these will all be in the show notes too,
Yeah, we'll
but
put
if
some
you just
links.
want to say what they
Yeah,
are.
so I just started Just on My House Instagram. So one thing that, in business, like I feel like when you work for yourself, you get, this ability to be yourself. But I actually just am trying to separate the two just a little bit. So I started Just on My House Instagram account, but I also have a Giselle Rodriguez Facebook page. But they can find me any of them. I'm here. Yeah. Reach out on any of them.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And you are available to buy and sell for them?
Yes, buy and sell. Yeah.
Decorate.
And find all the right
walk the
people.
dog.
Full service over
Yeah.
here. And if I don't do it, I got someone that does. I can guarantee it.
I love that so much.
She really does. And also I was thinking at Beauty Boost, don't you do the what are the vision boards?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So I can't take credit for that either. So Chelsea has been working with me for some time now. And I was like, what can I do that's like real estate related that people are going to enjoy? That's not like super boring and dry about the process. And it was around the time of towards the end of last year, I think it was. And she's like, well, to get ready for next year, we could do like vision boarding. And same thing. I was like, ugh, no. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay, maybe you're right. And so then I had like all these, I printed off graphics and she helped me print off graphics. And I did not anticipate that to be as well received as it was. Yeah. It was amazing.
Okay, but let me, it might not have been if it was somebody else that was running the vision board table. But Giselle makes it so fun and meaningful. So that's why it's successful.
I just loved getting to meet all the ladies and seeing like what they gravitate towards and colors and words. And, a few would like kind of tell me about what was going on in their life. And it made so much sense. And like, women that are closer to retirement, they had a lot of wine pictures. And beach. And what's so funny on the feedback that they gave about my table, it was more pictures of wine. And I was like,
They
done.
wanted more pictures of wine.
More pictures
Hilarious.
of wine and travel. And so for
my
the
gosh.
next beauty booth,
Yeah.
I printed like 10 more pages of just suitcases and wine glasses and
Love
clouds
it.
and beaches. And it was so well received. And it really stimulated a lot of reflection on my end, because I did a vision board a couple of years ago during kind of a turning point in my life. And I have it on my fridge still. And I walk past it all the time, and it's so cool to look back at it and know how much of that has happened. And I believe in it so much, and the best is yet to come. I already know.
I mean, we cannot wrap it up any better than that.
Oh, thank you.
That was perfect. Yay, Giselle.
Thanks. You guys are sweet.
All right, you guys, if you enjoyed Giselle's episode, please like, subscribe, and follow, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
No stopping me. No stopping me now.
Is feng shui real or just made up?
You know, I think it's real, but I haven't really studied it, and I certainly don't think I've mastered it. Actually, I actually saw on one of your podcasts about how your bed should be facing north.
Yes.
And
The head of your bed.
The head of your bed. Okay,
Yeah.
so when I got home, I watched it when I was at the gym, and I got home and I thought, okay, like which way is facing north? Like I don't know which way I'm even facing. But I
Get out our
really-
compasses.
Yeah,
Like I say, your phone's got a compass on
it
it.
does. Yeah.